So the first thing that I learned was my gift was music. So at a young age, I started writing music, and I remember the first song that I wrote was "Drugs is a Bad Thing, Drugs Isn't Good." I wrote that in like grade 5. But at that time, I wasn't really taking it serious. It was just something that I did as a hobby. But when I moved to Grand Bahama and I started going to youth ministry at Jubilee Cathedral, that's where I grew up in youth. And they started asking me to utilize my gift in youth meeting. And that's how I really acquired the love for music, and my love for music mixed with the love for God. So that's where I started. And then eventually I branched out as I grew older, and people knew me as Reza. So a lot of people know me as Reza. That was my artist name in the gospel ministry.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Pregnant with Destiny, but Stuck podcast. This podcast is for kingdom-minded citizens who want to discover their gifts, who want to understand what skills, what talents, with their personalities, how that all mixes and how that all connects, and who want to unleash their gifts into the world and into various methods, various projects, whether it's a ministry, whether it's a project, whether it's a business, so that you could increase your impact, you can increase your influence, and also you can increase your income. And so this podcast is about helping you on your journey, helping you to get unstuck, helping you to identify your gifts, helping you to pour your oil into various means, helping you to build God's kingdom. And so from time to time, we're going to have really powerful, really exciting, really innovative, progressive guests. And we're going to have a chat with them, and we're going to use their experience, their life experience, to help you on your journey, to encourage you. And so today, I'm very excited, as always. I'm very pleased to have on the show today one of, I call her one of my students, because she's one of the regular, she's one of the engaged Bible study students, but I didn't get too much into that. But we go to the same church, and I know her very well. So I'm excited to have this chat with her. Her name is Stacey King, and I'm going to let her introduce herself to you. Stacey.
Hey, everybody on the Unstuck podcast. My name is Stacey King, and it's a pleasure to be here because I look at Miss Clark as one of my mentors, because she's been instrumental in a lot of things, because I've learned so much from her, even through Bible study. She doesn't know how much I've learned. So it's a pleasure to be here today.
Thank you so much. I didn't know that.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I just want to say, Stacey, I'm always encouraged by you. Every time I ask you to support the Bible study, yeah, you're always there and you're always engaged. And when you're not able to, you respond to, you let me know. So I'm really impressed with your growth.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
And Stacey is on the show today because she's a young believer, and she's also very creative. And she is going to share with us about her journey to discover oil, her journey to pour her oil into different things. And she's going to provide some really good nuggets, powerful nuggets for you today. So Stacey, let's start. Gifts. What do you think are your gifts?
All right. So the first thing that I learned was my gift was music. So at a young age, I started writing music, and I remember the first song that I wrote was "Drugs is a Bad Thing, Drugs Isn't Good." I wrote that in like grade 5. But, at that time, I wasn't really taking it serious. It was just something that I did as a hobby. But when I moved to Grand Bahama and I started going to youth ministry at Jubilee Cathedral, that's where I grew up in youth. And they started asking me to utilize my gift in youth meeting. And that's how I really acquired the love for music, and my love for music mixed with the love for God. So that's where I started. And then eventually I branched out as I grew older, and people knew me as Reza. So a lot of people know me as Reza. That was my artist name in the gospel ministry.
Reza, what does Reza mean?
So my actual name, Stacy, the meaning of it was resurrection. So it was shortened to Reza, and a lot of people just call me Reza.
Okay. It's like that. I didn't know that.
Yes.
So tell us more about your gifts.
Well, I'm still in love with music. As part of the praise and worship team at New Destiny, my church now, it's something that I love doing it. But to be honest with you, it was something that I fought with because for a long time, I always felt like there's so many persons that can lead praise and worship better. There's so many persons that can actually sing better, that have a better talent when it comes to singing. But it was always where every church that I went to, it was always where the pastor would pull me out and put me on the praise team because I would go to a church and I'd be like, I'm not joining the praise team. And then the pastor would just come to me and be like, you ready? And eventually I just feel a conviction and I would end up there again.
Mhm.
So that's how it goes. Yeah, definitely.
Wow. So music is your gifts.
Yeah.
What is your gift? What are the talents and skills you have?
So I actually just learned that I had another talent, in 2024 because at that point I was kind of looking for a way to make more funds.
Okay.
Because, as a mom, you're always trying to find ways because you always need money regardless.
Oh yeah.
And so I was just like, I would be praying at night. I'd be like, God, I need a business out there. And I would just be on YouTube, TikTok. I would be looking to see what I could do. And then eventually I ended up selling my car because I was like, you know what? I need to find a way to invest in something. So I sold my car. I downsized to another car
Mhm.
and I ended up investing in an inkjet printer. And I went on TikTok, YouTube, and I started learning how to customize. So I started customizing snaps. And I always told people like, I'm not that creative when it comes to art, but it was like every time I would start, every time I would start, going on Canva and trying to make the graphics for it was just movie because I'd be like, I made it. And so that was a new gift that I found. I could customize snacks and trinkets and stuff.
Okay. But so right now you branch off into customizing snacks.
Yes.
Any other businesses you doing before that?
Well, yes, I sold candy. It's called Vince More Yummy. So it was like gummy candies and it was just a business for my kids. So I did that. And then I started off with King's Kids.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's like a lot.
You are what they call a serial business.
Yeah.
One business to another.
Yeah. But they are all under the same umbrella. So
Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent. Do you plan on doing more businesses?
yes, well, so it was a ministry God gave me called the Gap Bridges.
Okay.
So like the businesses fall under the Gap Bridges and like with Vince More Yummies, that's really my kids' business. But because, I can't just sell with the candies right now. So that's just something I'm doing. But as they grow older, it'll be something that will be their own.
Okay.
So yeah, the Gap Bridges, it has Vince More Yummies, it has King Kids, then it also has something called I Got Something to Say, which is like a podcast.
Okay.
So yeah, they all fall under the same umbrella.
Okay. So it's called the Gap Ministry.
Yeah, the Gap Bridges.
And what is the objective? What is the mission of the Gap Bridges?
Well, the Gap Bridges, it really caters to bridging the breach in our communities, like with younger persons and older persons, because a lot of times people would say like the younger persons were losing our interest in church, and then you would see like a lot of negativity going on in our communities. So the Gap Bridges is actually something where it's not just one church affiliated. So it's like where I want to get a lot of millennials involved, and then I also want to use like my businesses to also spread the gospel. So like with King's Kids, with the clothing, the main thing is to have affirmations attached to the clothing. So like it can encourage young people and just spread the kingdom ministry with Vince More Yummies. Even though I sell candy, I try to encourage people as well. So it's like everything ties into kingdom. So it's all bridging the gap.
Okay. So help me out now. You have the clothing is called
King Kids.
King Kids.
Yeah.
The candy business is called
Vince More Yummies.
Vince More Yummies.
Yeah.
And now you're decorating snacks, so that's called
That's on the Vince More Yummies as well.
Vince More
Yeah.
Yummies. Okay. And then the entire bridge is called
The Gap Bridges.
the Gap Bridges.
Yeah.
Okay. And you're trying to fill the gap between the different generations in the kingdom.
Yes.
Why do you want to fill that gap?
Because it's like a lot of people always say that it's like a breakdown when it comes to the younger persons and the older persons. It's almost like there's a bridge that's missing. Like they can't get across.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's mainly what it's all about. Like we trying to find ways to like bridge it.
Uh-huh.
So there wouldn't be like broken down communication or stuff like that.
Okay. And what sort of programs do you do to fill that gap?
Well, I got something to say. That was the first thing I did last year. I don't know if you remember, I did Destiny.
Yes.
So that was the first thing I did. And I'm actually trying to do it on a bigger scale again this year. So it's like I'm trying to utilize persons from like different age groups. So it just wouldn't be where a millennial is sitting down, but it'll be like a millennial, somebody who's older, who's walked through different things. So it's like we're trying to bring persons from different walks of life together.
Okay. See, the creative person.
Yeah.
How do you manage all of these projects that you're working on?
Well, the thing is, I honestly try to find balance because as a mom, like I want to make sure that my kids are good financially, but I also want to make sure that I'm spending time with them. And the thing is, I have a 9 to 5. And so by the time as I get home, it's late. And when I get home, that's when I'm working on Vince More Yummies and all those stuff. And so sometimes, like, I feel like I'm sliding them from attention. So it's kind of like I'm still trying to find my way, maneuver through it.
So it's finding that balance.
Yeah, definitely.
Do you set goals?
I do set goals. Yes, I do.
And is that finding that balance, is that one of the goals you have
That
for
is,
this year or in the future?
that is definitely one of my goals. So what I'm doing this year is I'm trying to put myself in a better position financially so that I wouldn't have to work as hard so I could spend time with them. Because to be honest, the main thing is to kind of cut out the 9 to 5, but I'm just not there yet.
Yeah.
So, that's the thing I'm trying to aim for, to cut out the 9 to 5.
Yeah, I can speak from experience. That's a challenge.
Yeah.
Because you're focused on really, like she said, cutting out the 9 to 5. You really not just cutting out the 9 to 5. You focus on financial freedom.
Yeah, definitely.
For your family, and so you have your 9 to 5. You have the other ventures that you're trying to do, and then you have your family, and it's a challenge.
Sure, it's definitely a challenge.
Sometimes the extra, some people call them the side hustles. There are different terminologies for the different businesses that you're doing outside of your regular work. Sometimes those can be very consuming and take up a lot of your energy and time. And I'm talking experience. And it's not just business. So it can also be ministry.
Yeah.
Like I'm saying from experience, ministry, other projects that you're working on, they can consume a lot of your time. And so when you come home to your family, they get the residue.
Yeah, that's true. That is true.
So how do you feel about that?
Well, I have been trying to be intentional because to be honest, my daughter, she's 7, and she said to me, just a few days ago, she was like, "Mommy, I want some attention. I want more attention." And I was like, I told her, I said, "You see on the bed?" I said, "You see all those clothes there?" I said, "Who have to fold those up?" So, like, it just, like, for me, I have to be more intentional because at some point, something is going to be dropped when you're trying to maneuver. So, like, I don't want it to be my kids. So there's some days that maybe the clothes may not get folded. And that's just how it will have to be because we have to just find our way.
Yes. And I want to, speak and coach you from someone who's walked that journey, who's walked that path. What I've learned over and this is an experience, a painful one for me, is your kids are going to grow up. And one day, the influence that you have on them at this stage, this stage, one day you're not going to have that. Before you realize it, they are going to be grown.
Yeah.
And you'll be like, where did the time go? Where did all of that time go? So I want to, and you said a very important point. Sometimes leave the clothes.
Yeah.
Sometimes, and for me, it was just keep going. A lot of times when I look back, I didn't stop enough.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't pause enough. And so, I like that lesson.
Yeah, I'm definitely learning that because for me, I love my kids. My kids love to be a part of me. So like, I'm learning that they are growing up very quickly because my daughter, like I said, she's 7 and just yesterday she was 2. So I understand how fast time is flying.
Yes, yes. And I want to encourage you, but you have, and people sometimes don't understand this, because they be like, why are you doing all this stuff? But you have this thing in you have this drive.
Yeah.
And we also have to understand that we have within us purpose. We have within us destiny. There's some stuff that God called us to do. But the thing is not to not do the creative stuff and not do the destiny.
Yeah.
The thing is, like you said, is to find the balance. Find that balance. And so what do you do to slow down?
What do I do to slow down? Well, to be honest, thanks to my mom, like sometimes, she assists me in that area. And then, with their dad, he's present in their life. So, for me, sometimes I would just have to sit out on the beach sometimes and just talk to God or write songs. Or sometimes I put my headphones in my ears and I just listen to music because sometimes I have to like zone out.
Yes.
To kind of get myself back where I need to be because I can get overstimulated sometimes when so much is going on and overwhelmed. And sometimes when that happens, you tend to take it out on the kid. So, I kind of find ways to just like boost up. So it has a lot to do with music or just sitting out on the beach and just listening to the waves.
Yeah. Because the creativity in you, the gifts in you, they are meant to be poured out. But the key is, like you said, find that to help pit stops.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because in car racing, if you watch car racing, like my older son was much younger and he's 30 now. They are long levels.
Yeah.
He used to love car racing. He used to love it. So I used to watch it with him. And one of the things in car racing they have is a pit stop. The cars go around the track just at high speed. It's just like the light. High speed, just go, 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 go. But at certain points in the race, the car would take a pit stop. The car would come off the track for a very short time. And when the car comes off the track, they will tend to the car. Check the tires, make sure the gas, make sure the little tweaks. And if the car doesn't take pit stops, the car will burn out in the race. So the car you must race. Right? You don't stop the race goes on. But teach yourself that we need to take a pit stop.
Definitely.
Yeah. Yeah. We have, and that's sometimes a challenge, but
yeah, it is. Like one of my main pit stops is being in the presence of God. Like if I have a lot on my mind and like a lot's going on, I have to like turn on some worship, give it myself, and get in the presence. Like honestly, when the Bible say in the presence there is fullness of joy, that is so true because I will come out refreshed and renewed.
Oh man, yes. I remember a time when I lost my job, and it was so dramatic. It was dramatic because it was sudden, unexpected. And I remember one day right on the beach and I just sat and I played worship songs and that was so refreshing.
Yeah, definitely.
It was so refreshing and it gave me such clarity of thought and what I needed to do and how to move forward. Worship was amazing.
Yeah.
And as a worship leader, tell us about how important worship is in your life.
Worship is extremely important because not just something that I do in church. Because worship is not just a song, but worship is literally your life. So like even in your obedience to God, that's worship. When you are behind closed doors and you have ways to compromise, but you turn it down, that's worship. That's what worship really is. So when you come before God and lift your hands in the front of the church, the presence of God falls because of the way you've been living your life. It doesn't fall because of how you sound. And so like for me, worship is very important because for me, I'm trying to set an example for my kids. I'm trying to set an example for those around me because I always was of the notion that I don't want to be that person that causes somebody to fall because I'm living a double life. So like worship is extremely important to me. So I try my best to live my life in accordance with the word of God and not just sing a song.
Excellent. Was there ever a point where you were stuck?
I was very stuck. I was actually very stuck a few years ago, when I went through my separation and my divorce, because it kind of changed my entire life, because now here it is, I have to find a new normal. And so I was stuck because I also was moving from one island to the next. And so I was out of a job at that time.
Well,
And so,
see, let's pause there. You were going through a divorce.
yeah,
You were moving to a new place and out of a job
yes,
all at once.
right,
Wow.
all at once.
Wow.
And so I'm trying to navigate it mentally. But on top of that, I also have to try and be the strength to my kids for them to navigate, because now they're living in a position where one parent is no longer in the house. And so that became a strain. And I remember for a long time, I was like, God, you gotta give me a business idea. Like, you gotta make something happen financially. Now, truth be told, I provided.
Yeah.
Because honestly, there were days where I would be like, how am I going to do this? And somebody would just come and bless me with something. So God definitely provided.
I do.
And that is where Been Small, Yummies, and the Gap Bridges was birthed. So I can honestly say I was stuck, but I was stuck for a good reason. Because eventually those things were perfect. And then, eventually the jobs came. And then I was working at one company, and it was too much. It was very overwhelming. And so I left. And I left that Friday, and by that Monday I had a new job. So it was like God would always align things the way they should be. So even though I was stuck, because I stayed submitted to Him, He allowed things to be birthed out of me, giftings and callings to be birthed out of me. And He allowed me to be in a position where I can tell somebody, like, you might be stuck now, but there's a reason for you being stuck.
Excellent. You have a powerful testimony.
Thank you.
Wow. What advice would you give to other young persons like you in your season of life? You young kids, you have a lot of different ideas. You're doing business, you're doing your regular 9 to 5, you're doing ministry. What advice would you give to them?
I would tell other young persons like myself, it's definitely not going to be easy. It's surely not going to be easy. And there are some days like you may feel like you are unable to do it. And there are some days you may get frustrated. That's fine. Like, be frustrated, be angry, but don't stay there. Like, don't stay there at all, because I can honestly say God will provide, and it's only for a season, because the Bible tells us about seasons. But one thing I know about seasons will change. And I know sometimes we may be tired of hearing people say, all things work together for the good. But the truth is it will. So it will. So, you may feel like it's a cliche, or you may feel like I'll never get out of this position that I'm in. I can honestly tell you, if you stay submitted and you just continue to live your life one day at a time, trusting God, your season will definitely change for the better, and God will make it work for your good.
It's word.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's word. So what's next for Stacey?
What is next for me? Well, right now, like I said earlier, I am planning the Gap Bridges event. So I'm planning to do that on a very big scale.
Excellent.
So that's something that I am really looking into, because I feel like, God has been birthing a lot in me. And so sometimes it's your season to sit, and sometimes it's your season to build. So right now I am in the building process. Sometimes you might look and you might be like, how will this work out? Like, I don't even know where to start. But, like one of the ladies that visited New Destiny, when she said faith will fund it, just a few days ago, one of my friends reminded me, and she said, God said to tell you faith will fund it. So right now I'm in a faith will fund it season.
So 2025 is your
faith will fund it.
Faith will fund season. Yeah. 2025. I saw somewhere, the saying about faith this year. So I'm working on that too.
Yes.
This is a year where faith, we gotta really
lock in.
Really lock in. What would you say is your greatest life lesson?
I think one of my greatest life lessons is, this is probably not the only one, but one of them is to live in the moment, because a lot of times we can become so consumed with everything that's going on, whether it be work, bills, all these different things. And then we find ourselves years later wishing we had probably done certain things and regretting. So like learn to live in the moment. Like today you may not be able to do everything that you want to do today. You may want to take a trip. And you may feel like I have so much bills going on sometimes. Now, I'm not saying be reckless. Sometimes you could just, pull back and let something slide for 1 month just to, live in the moment, because we are here for a short time, not for a long time. We are not here forever. So like you got to learn to enjoy life too.
Yes. Yes. And you said something powerful. We have a finite or defined time on this earth. And when that time comes to an end, it ends.
Yeah.
And like you talk about, you don't want to, you want to die empty.
Yes.
So you want to pour out everything that God has had purpose for you to do, or God has deposited in you. I always tell people, die empty, pour it all out. Live the life that God has for you.
Yeah.
But like you said, at the same time, don't be reckless.
Definitely. Yeah.
Yeah. Have that balance. Have that balance.
Yeah. Because I know a lot of persons in my generation, we like to say, you only live once. If you really understand that you only live once, you would not waste your life.
You would waste your life. No, you would not waste your life. Yeah, yeah. And that's the thing. Yeah, a lot of young persons tend to believe that they go, I'm going to live forever.
Yeah.
I'm never going to die. They just live. So, but it's important to be like, we talk about balance. Pour it out, what? Balance. And
Sure.
you said about living, being present, don't you just go, but being present in the moment. That's powerful.
For sure. That's something I really had to learn. You got to be present in the moment, because time is flying by.
Well, Stacey, I really enjoyed.
Yes, perfect. Thank you so much. It's always a pleasure when I am listening to you or when I am next to you, because you have so much wisdom to give and so much that we could glean from. So it's definitely a pleasure, because I think I'm enjoying listening to you more than you probably enjoy listening to me.
Thank you so much. I didn't know that. Yeah, I see, and I'm not a person of fluff, but I see a lot of you and me. My younger time, we have within us this drive, this to do the things that God has posited in us to be what God has called us to be. And when I look back and I look back to previous, one of the things that I think I should have had earlier was good coaching. I got into coaching last 10 years, and I see the value of it. Had I seen that 20 years before, the lessons and the regrets and a lot of the mistakes I made, I know I would not. And so I'm glad that you see the value of older person and the wisdom that they have, and to learn from their experiences.
Definitely.
Because Paul was Timothy's coach. When God met Adam in the garden, God coached Adam. When Elijah and the widow in Second Kings was coaching, and you learn so much.
Yeah.
So I want to say thank you so much for being a good student.
Thank you so much.
A good student, and I'm proud of you. Continue to grow.
Thank you.
Continue to elevate and level up. Go for those goals. The goal of financial freedom.
Yes.
Yeah, I would just encourage you, to do courses, get more coaching. Those are the tools that I've learned that has helped me. So I know that they can help you as well.
Yes, ma'am.
And I'm still on the journey as well. Still on the journey. So any closing remarks?
Well, I just want to say thank you so much for having me on the Unstuck podcast. It's a pleasure to be here in the seat. There's greatness behind this podcast. And so I'm so grateful to be called upon to be sitting here right now. So I appreciate you. And I just want to let everybody know that, you might be stuck now, but you will get unstuck.
That'd be good. And recently studied Moses. When I look back and study that, when Moses had had to flee Egypt because he killed the Egyptian.
Mhm.
Now, we don't know whether he killed the Egyptian in self-defense. We don't know all the details. The Bible doesn't go into that. And I've always said, the Bible only gives you what you need to know. If it didn't give you any details, then you don't really need to know. So he fled Egypt, but he spent 40 years in Midian.
Mhm.
And the 40 years he was in Midian, he was actually stuck. Because stuck means that you're not able to move forward into the destiny that God has for you.
Yes.
And while he was stuck, there were people in Egypt waiting for him.
Wow.
There were people in Egypt waiting for him. And so Stacy gave a lot of wisdom and nuggets about being stuck and the fact that you could get unstuck. Because Moses had an encounter with God at the burning bush. He got unstuck.
Yeah. It takes one encounter.
Just one encounter. Just one encounter. And she told you her journey of getting unstuck.
Yeah.
And just how she got unstuck, you could get unstuck.
Definitely.
You could get unstuck and you could move forward into the destiny, into the purposes that God has. So we want to thanks
Thank you
Stacey,
so much,
for
Dr.
an excellent job and for being on the show with us. And again, thank you so much for being a part of this podcast. We want to help our kingdom-minded citizens. We want to help you get unstuck. We want to help you discover, unleash your gifts. We want to help you make an impact in the marketplace. We want to help you get financial freedom, like Stacey talked about, increase your influence, increase your impact, all that good stuff. So once again, thank you. Please support this podcast by downloading Apple Podcasts on Spotify. We're also on YouTube. Subscribe, like, comment, share the videos. That's how you help us. That's how you become online evangelist and support this podcast so that it can reach other people to help them get unstuck. So once again, thank you very much. Thank you, Stacey.
Thank you.